Lack of communication in your service company can cause a serious amount of issues if you're not careful. I don't care if you have a team with Chinese, Indians, Hispanics, Americans, you have to have communication. What they say is communication, communication, communication with your customers and your internal customers too. Your internal customers are obviously your team. Now, early in my business, I started out with teenagers, but that team has totally shifted from now. Now, I learned early that communication was super important because we had teenagers that had a different amount of schedules because they were still in school. So whether that's sports or like they just couldn't commit to a full-time gig. Well, my thing is we had customers to take care of. So when landscaping projects and mowing had to get done for the week, we had to get it done. That was a big experience for me to learn from communicating between my customers and the people that could help me at the time when I got started. Now you shift 2 years later in my company and we have mainly all Hispanic teams. So there's different culture that comes and there's different language barrier that comes that you have to learn. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just gotta understand and listen and watch how they operate as people. When you're running a service-based company, let's be honest, like it's a people-based business. There's highly concentrated amounts of people that are working to complete a project. You know, it's not just 10 people. If you got $5 million in revenue, like it's much bigger than that. For a landscaping company doing $5 million in revenue, you might have 50 to 60 employees. Like it's a high and mass, you know, concentrated amount of people in a company. So you got to really get the communication game down. You not only have to communicate to your team, but your team has to communicate to the team. So if you have crew leaders leading trucks and trailers with, you know, maybe 3 other people in that crew, like they got to understand what I communicate to them so they can communicate to the team. Because like I can't reach out to all of them. Like I got stuff to do, they got stuff to do. So it's easier when you leverage that communication to your crew leads who are leading that crew so then they can lead the people on that crew. Communication's a never-ending thing. So like it's always going to be innovating. Just like if it's a software company, like you think Zillow has, you know, software data that's going to be the same. No, it's going to be changing all the time. That's the same with communication. It's always going to be changing because you're going to have different customers, better, more quality customers, better, more quality people are going to understand the communication that you're talking and speaking to them with. But we use a lot of Google Translate and that helps us a lot, but not all of that's accurate. Like sometimes it spins the words around and it's not like as detailed as it could be, but we try our best. Even in person, like I use a lot of hand gestures. We do have bilingual team members, but like some of them obviously can't speak full English. So it's better to have, you know, those hand gestures and Google Translate to then communicate to each and every one of them on the specific details that they have to do. I think the biggest takeaway that I've learned from our Hispanic team was the general and big details are super simple to communicate. But when it comes to like the small and intricate details, maybe a customer wants something a specific way, it's a lot harder to communicate to our team, especially when they don't know English. To make the experience better for the customer when they're working on the property is we have a crew member that has like English speaking experience. So even if it's a little bit, it helps. But if a customer walks out, like they expect them to know at least a little bit of English. But instead of all of that, we just tell our people to like hand them our contact information for our office. So if they had a request or an incident or whatever, they just call our office and we'll get taken care of. It's all about keeping things simple. If you make it complex for your people to communicate to your customer, like it's gonna cause a lot of issues in trust and reputation between your relationship with the customer. This is what I've learned from my landscape company. I'm not saying it's gonna work for you, but I hope it does in some way, shape, or form. And I love our team and our people. Like they are amazing people at what they do, but it just comes with different good problems. I see it as good problems because that means you're growing in different ways, right? With different cultures. And so you just got to figure out who that person is going to be. But even with Americans that can speak English, you still got to learn the communication game. If you can communicate to your team that doesn't know any English, dude, you're gonna be so far ahead because you're gonna understand how to communicate even better and stronger to people who do know English.